On this frequency, Coast City FM 92.9. A very good morning to you. It's the Home Run segment. Welcome to Breakfast Show, where we discuss pressing issues affecting our communities. Well, today, false security threats refer to situations where public alarms or alerts are triggered without any actual danger present. And these can arise from various factors in our environment. Today, as we examine a topic that impacts many of us, we shall be discussing false security threats and how to protect ourselves. Very important. Well, we told you earlier that town planner Ogbonna Chime was going nowhere. He is still very much with us here in the studio. Let me let you know also that he is a public safety advocate and national vice president, Nigeria Institute of Town Planners. Good to know you are still here, sir.
Thank you, Angie. I won't go.
Until we're done.
Yes.
Okay.
If you offer me an employment, I will also stay permanent.
You know, that's good to know. That's good to know. Okay, so let's find out. We're looking at false security threats. What exactly is that?
Well, I think you already defined it. When an alarm is raised on an issue that does not exist, and that may not exist.
Okay.
I mean, it is dangerous to the society as a whole.
Mm.
Yes. I think I will start with an example. About a week ago, there was a video clip that was circulated.
Okay.
The video clip was warning everybody from Enugu to Imo. That is to say, the southeastern states, that nobody should come out on the 21st and 22nd days of this month. That a group was going to come out with his arsenal of war to disrupt whosoever ventured to disobey that order. The thing was shocking. We started getting calls from all over the country. When I say we, those of us who are members of Nigeria Institute of Town Planners recall that on the same 21st and the 22nd days of this month, that we have an international conference and AGM of our body, the Nigeria Institute of Town Planners, slated here in Enugu. And incidentally, it was those two important days that those who are wanting people not to come out decided to choose as the day of their display of armory to destroy whosoever coughed that day. We started making inquiries. In fact, the national president of the institute had to call an emergency national executive committee meeting. At that meeting, I wish some of you were there. You listened to intelligent people reasoning. So the first question was, the big arsenals of war which they threatened to parade on that day, how and when did it come into the country? Or were they manufactured somewhere here in the east and kept in a room waiting for 21st and 22nd? So many questions were being asked. Some people also reasoned, and of course said, that 2 years ago, that the same clip was circulated, threatening the same thing. So it was reasoned that it could be, and that was the suspicion of most people, that a disgruntled element decided to recirculate that 2 years ago video clip.
Because I didn't hear this and I didn't know about it. But let's continue with the conversation. Let me find out how prevalent are these threats in. You know, you had mentioned this and the function that you have that will be coming up, okay? But let me find out how prevalent can we say that these things, how often do they happen?
No. They happen from time to time. You know the society we live in. Some people feed through wrong approaches to life. And that is why some people even go out to steal. Some people go out to steal so as to feed. Then whatever this other group that threatens public security, what they intend to achieve is what I don't understand.
Yes.
Just to create fears into the people.
The minds of people.
And then force them to stay indoors.
Oh.
And that will amount to economic waste. If everybody stays at home from morning to night, the first day, from morning to night, the second day, well, like, who else should know? Such threats are no longer prevalent in Enugu State. I guess you know this.
Yes.
Because for the past 1 year, we've not had anything like sit on the farm or sit at home or sit in heaven. Because that's what we talk about leadership. When you get the right leadership, everything flows.
Okay. You know, I had to ask that question because I read the news in I think it was my foreign news this morning, where it was talking about Indian officials who said that at least they have received 10 Indian flights. You know, they have received hoax bomb threats over the past 48 hours, leading to long delays and diversions. And, you know, in the course of the news, they said that it was regular. Hours before that, an Air Indian plane from Delhi to Chicago had to land at a Canadian airport as a precautionary measure. Okay? But they said every Indian airport has a bomb threat assessment committee, which assesses the gravity of the threat and takes action accordingly. I like that line. They take action accordingly. So when people receive such threats, what do you think the security should do?
No, what usually should be done is that when you receive a threat, either to you as a person or to the society as a whole, we have security agencies in the country. The first part, of course, should be to report to security agencies. If there is any evidence of what you are saying, you show them the evidence. It is their duty to swing into action, to find out whether that report was right or not. If they found it to be right, they know the procedures to take to arrest the situation because they are trained to do that.
Okay. But then what are some common causes of false security threats in our society?
Like I mentioned earlier on, some people want to do it to earn one undesirable favor or the other. For instance, if somebody is a trader, usually there's competition everywhere. It's not only in the open market. If somebody is a trader and he feels that he's been overpowered by his neighbor trader, you know, he could come out with something that would scare his neighbor.
That's propaganda.
That's propaganda.
Part of propaganda.
Yes. To scare him from not coming to the market at a particular day or at a particular period. You understand? So and just like in every other thing we human beings do, sometimes people refer to it as blackmailing the opponents or blackmailing the society as a whole. For example, people who said people should not come out on 21st and 22nd, they were doing no good to anybody. They were doing no good to the entire southeastern government and people. They were not even doing any good to the people who are truly fighting for whatever agitation they believed in. Because it ended up blackmailing everybody. You understand?
Yeah.
So what they gain, I think, should be known to them. But it's never in the interest of the society. Never in the interest of the society.
Yes. You just pulled the next question from my mouth. Apart from not being in the interest of a society, what other impact do you think these false security threats have on our societies, our communities, in our states, where we are?
No, I've already said that. The very first one is that if, for instance, you take the threat that nobody should come, if you take it as an example, yes, it boils down to forcing people who are ignorant to stay at home, doing nothing for those number of days or hours. And the impact on our economic life is very dangerous. very dangerous. Because if such individuals succeed at stopping about 200 persons from to stay at home in obedience to the false alarm, would they get anything to eat for that day? Especially if they are the people that they work on their own. If you don't work, you don't eat. The family will die of hunger. So it's dangerous. Very, very dangerous.
Okay, so let's find out, especially with the advent of digital media technology, how can we identify false security threats, like easily? How, like you look at a video clip or you listen to something and you are able to tell that this cannot be true, this cannot be right. For you, you had some people who had to sit down and brainstorm and think until somebody came up that's with an idea or with a suggestion that this video clip had circulated last year or 2 years ago, But if we don't have people like that around and we see a video clip that is threatening the peace or security of our community, how can we tell that this is a hoax?
Just like I mentioned earlier on, our security agencies and their personnel are trained enough. I must say that they are trained enough to decipher when anything that is a threat to the public is real or not. For instance, I told you that some people reasoned that video clip was circulated 2 years ago. If they had not seen it, if they had not kept a record of it, they might not know that it was circulated.
But Mr. Chime, sorry to cut in, most times the individuals in the society receive these messages first, even before the security agencies.
Okay.
And they don't even come, at least where we hear them, on TV, on radio. We don't even hear them or release some papers until some days after. And sometimes it appears it's not just a mere threat, because we could have some things happen. And that's when they begin to act like a fire brigade approach. That's why I want to find out how to identify it when it happens in the first place.
Yeah, that was what I said at the beginning. That the first thing anybody does when he hears or gets information that is misleading is to report to the security agencies. They will use their gadgets and methods of training to trace what was the source, what was the intention, is it real, or is it not real? Then, having known this, they can now educate members of the public on the precautions to take, or that they should go about their businesses. Just like the one I told you, we have to go to the heads of the security agencies, and they dismiss the thing as false. You understand? So, I want to believe that we as a people need to have even the security agencies to perform their duties. I give you an example of what happened within Enugu State here. That was very close to my community. I didn't know about it until I read it. Somebody's house was being used as a kidnapper's den. And once it was traced, you may have seen it or read about it. Once it was traced, in line with the Enugu State government policy on insecurity, government pulled down that house. A very nice house, a very modern house. But for the fact that it was traced to kidnapping businesses, government said, no, this house cannot be in Enugu State. That's not the first one. It has happened several other places. And that was why I said that everything good about any society depends on leadership. When you get the right leadership, everything goes well. So, government can use its apparatus to trace where evils, threats, whatever are happening, and then deal with them accordingly.
Okay.
And if there is any government in this country that is doing that well, it is the Enugu State government.
Thank you very much. Let me find out from you. I know that you have talked about reporting to security agencies when you receive such threats.
Yes.
That's about the first step that any individual or member of a society can take.
Yes.
And it's in tandem with one of the jingles that we have running on the network service and local services of Radio Nigeria, where we say, if you see something, say something. So I agree in total with that. But then apart from having to say something if you see something, what other measures can the public take to safeguard themselves?
I will always refer you to Enugu state government. There is this community neighborhood groups.
Is it like the neighborhood watch?
Neighborhood watch. Okay. There is the other one. The formation of neighborhood watch is in line with the federal government policy on urban development.
Okay.
It's under urban development policy. That if you have a neighborhood, within a neighborhood, the expectation is that everybody should know each other because there are common facilities provided for every neighborhood. Playground, primary school, churches, and so on and so forth. These facilities provide avenue for the residents within that neighborhood to interact from time to time. And if they interact from time to time, they get to know one another deeply. So if any stranger comes into such a neighborhood, it will be clear that this person is a stranger and should be watched.
Okay.
I think that's the essence of that neighborhood watch. And like I said, it is in line with the Nigerian urban development policy. So if we are grouped, like I've mentioned, neighborhood by neighborhood, it will be difficult. And we have security agencies watching over such neighborhoods together with the residents. It will be difficult for crimes to be committed and without being traced. I'm not sure that is being done in other states of the Federation. And if it is not, it is something that should be emulated because it's helping issues here.
Okay.
So what you are saying is that it's not just that you live within the neighborhood. You should make an attempt to interact with your neighbors so that they know you and you know them.
Okay.
So that whenever a stranger comes in, everybody will in tandem agree, this is a stranger and should be watched.
Okay. We
had one experience. I think that was 2014 at Cooperative Housing Layout, Abapanike, where I resided there. We had our neighborhood watch. Of course, it is the neighborhood that pays the personnel that takes care of the security of the neighborhood. So we had a neighborhood watch. One of the nights, some of us came out to stay with our security personnel. As we were there, somebody was walking down towards the security men. Well, it wasn't something so palatable, but it happened. You know. So the man was questioned. Who are you? He ignored
the question.
He ignored the question and kept advancing. By the next moment, one of the neighborhood watch personnel, I don't know how he put it, he slided the guy and he fell over his head. Bam. There was a problem. At the end of the day, it was discovered that the man who was down was a soldier. But the truth of the matter is that it taught us a lesson. It taught the soldier also a lesson. You don't, because of your position,
ignore some very important questions.
Yes,
communication is key.
Yes, because it wouldn't have taken anything from him to say, I am so and so person. You understand? But he ignored the question. You understand? Okay. So, but that goes to show that when you interact closely within a neighborhood, then when a stranger comes, you will always know. That soldier was going to visit somebody. It wasn't that he was a criminal. He was going to visit a member of the neighborhood. You know. But if he had answered the question, okay, where are you going to visit? He would have said so. Then the security personnel would have called the man to confirm.
But then the security officers should have probed some more, just maybe a little more.
No. It was probed. It was discovered that he was going to visit a member.
No, before giving him a slide down, know. I'm trying to think now.
That's the African man.
He did not do well by not answering the question,
Yes.
But then I was thinking that the security people should have done a little bit more.
I agree with you.
All right, let's move on. It's 5 minutes before 10 and we're about calling it wraps. Let me find out what your final thoughts and advice could be. Do you have, I wonder what it is that you would want to say to our people, to our listeners, based on false security threats?
Well, I think the first thing is to let our people know that whosoever is engaged on spreading false rumor is not doing any good to himself, nor to the society. At the end of the day, everybody suffers. So I would advise that people should only speak on what they know and speak on what is the truth. Nobody should harass each other. The worst is attempting to stop a whole community from going on with their planned activities on a particular day or particular days. I look at that as an economic sabotage. And whosoever is caught doing that should go in for it. Our government should not wait to be told what to do with such a person. So that it will serve as a deterrent to him or her, and maybe to some others who had the intention of doing same in future. Yes.
Okay, so I know we talked about, before we call it wraps eventually, I know you talked about seeing something and saying something.
Yes.
Sometimes people are quite skeptical about going to say something that they have seen. And I'm just wondering why it is so. And some would say, based on confidential issues, they do not trust the security officials to keep the source away from the people. How correct can that be?
Yeah, that's the feeling of most people. And I think that is why most of these crimes are not nipped in the bud. Because people who have information are always afraid. Some are always afraid to let the information to the appropriate quarters. Because by what we know, when you give a certain type of information, you may be invited to come and explain.
Some more.
And nobody has the time to go and explain further. I think once such a piece of information is brought to our security agencies, they should go ahead and investigate.
Yes. They should go ahead and investigate.
Yes,
very important.
The truth,
yes, they should be proactive.
They should be proactive.
Yes, and not reactionary. Thank you so much for being here. Town Planner Ogbonna Chime, who is also a public safety advocate. Yes, I'm sure you have spoken in that office. And National Vice President, Nigeria Institute of Town Planners. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we'd like to thank you very much for being a part of Breakfast Show this beautiful Thursday morning, 17th of October, 2024. Let me remind you, 2024, like play. It's gradually wrapping up.
Oh, yeah.
Well, special salutations to my researcher and producer, Jude Obu. Well done. Of course, that's my producer. Talking about my supervisor now, General Manager CCFM, Joy Obitolata. Special salutations to you. And the executive producer also has been the Zonal Director, Radio Nigeria Enugu Zonal Station, Mr. Ike Chukwu Eze. I'm your God's gift on radio, Onyinye Onovo. We'll be back. Well, Joy Chibo Kim has been here with me all morning. Good morning, Joy.
Good morning, ma.
Well, we'll be back next Thursday. Keep it steady here, and you'll be very glad you did. Good morning.